Hi, you're listening to Childless and Moving Onward. This is the place where we talk about thriving in life when you're a woman who is childless, not by choice, regardless of the road that brought you to childlessness. Welcome to episode 68 of Childless and Moving Onward. I'm Gail Miller, a life coach, speaker, and physician, and your host of this podcast. And this is where I tackle the challenges of living life as a woman who is childless not by choice in a world that expects us to be moms and judges us for not being that. And with me today is one of our dogs. This is Tigger. He's getting a little antsy and a little talkative, so hopefully keeping him on my lap will keep him quiet and get us through this without too much extra background noise. So many of the topics that are related to being childless when you don't want to be have to do with negative judgments of us from others. And I look back and the topics for July have mostly been that. That's been the general theme for this month. I didn't plan it that way. And today, it's not going to be different because today's topic is most definitely about a horrible stereotype when it comes to women without children. And this incredibly harmful view is that women without children are selfish. Now, to begin with, I first want to clarify that my use of the word childless is just kind of one of convenience. It's a common term. But when I use it, I realize that the less part of the word implies that women without children are less than. We're not. That's not why I use the word. There really isn't a perfect word to use. Because on the other hand, the word child-free doesn't feel right to many of us who are not here in this situation by choice, because the word child-free gives the impression that being without kids is a positive for all women. Now, for some it is, and that's great, but it's not the case for all. I bring this up because this view of women without kids being selfish doesn't discriminate between those women who choose not to have children and those of us who are childless not by choice. Women who don't have children, regardless of the reason, are far too often viewed as being selfish. Now, those who choose not to have children are considered selfish. But why? If the commonly held view is that motherhood is the most important role, why would those of you who consider women who choose not to be moms, why would you want that person who doesn't feel up to it taking on that role? No, women who choose not to become moms are not selfish. And then for those of us who did not choose this, we're also considered selfish. The assumptions range from the views of us that we gave up, that we prioritized our own comfort or careers over having children, that we made selfish mistakes and bad choices. And there is this very wrong idea that it is always possible to have children, that there's always a way. Therefore, if we don't have children, we're selfish for not having done enough. I mean, there are so many hurtful and negative assumptions about us that we're lacking, that we're less compassionate or nurturing, or that our lives are somehow incomplete or unfulfilled simply because we don't have children. And our lack of compassion, our inability to be nurturing, this was fate, meant to keep someone like us, not having kids. These stereotypes completely ignore the reality of our experiences. the grief we carry, and the strength it takes to move onward when life doesn't go the way we hoped or planned. And more than that, our life didn't turn out as planned, and yet we are always surrounded by others who do have children. We witness what we don't have, and we often feel on the outside looking in. So this view that women without children are selfish, it really gets me. It infuriates me. Now, those of you who know me know I don't hide my anger very well. And I'm trying to be respectful and tactful here. But this is beyond infuriating to me, that women without children are considered selfish. And it's a common view of us. Here's the reality. Here's the truth. Selfishness isn't tied to whether or not somebody has children. It's a character trait that can show up in anyone, including women who are mothers. There are plenty of examples of mothers who are self-centered, some who, despite pushing the narrative that motherhood is their most important job, they actually prioritize their own needs, their own desires over the well-being of their kids. They never put their kids first. They never consider their kids. There is an endless list of examples of women who are like this. We all know them. I personally know several and know of many others through mutual connections. Toxic or narcissistic moms, and there are plenty. They manipulate, they control, or they emotionally neglect their kids. That can all be deeply damaging. But society doesn't label women who are mothers, but society doesn't label women who are mothers as selfish in the same way or to the same degree that it does to women without children. Motherhood doesn't automatically make somebody selfless, just as being childless doesn't make someone selfish. Selfishness has nothing to do with whether or not somebody has children. But when the focus is only on whether or not somebody has kids, that overlooks the real qualities that define character. It ignores the fact that selfishness isn't a trait specific or related to somebody's fertility status. But these stereotypes and judgments keep sticking around, even though they don't reflect the reality of women's lives, whether they are childless by choice or not. The truth is that women without children are as diverse, as compassionate, and as complex as any other group in society. We are not a single personality, a single experience, a single look or feel. No, our stories, our beings are multifaceted. Our humanity is. Our personalities, behaviors, and values, they're not uniform. They are unique to each individual. The harmful labels of women without children as being selfish, cold, incomplete are simply not accurate. They are wrong. They are harmful. Many childless women are involved in their communities in countless ways that have nothing to do with being a parent. Our contributions are real and valuable, even if they don't fit the narrow mold that society often tries to impose on women. But the challenge to all of this is that these stereotypes are reinforced in the media and popular culture. Childless women are either invisible or shown in a negative light, rarely portrayed as fulfilled, happy, or whole. This unfortunate lack of accurate representation feeds into the shame and the isolation that so many women who are childless not by choice feel. The result is that it makes it even harder to change the narrative that our lives are lacking or don't have meaning. And all of this is a form of cultural shaming of women without children. We constantly get messages of dismissal towards us. And what does that do? Well, it contributes to low self-esteem. But the reality is, our lives are meaningful. We do matter. And we are not selfish. Now, while stereotypes and cultural narratives about women without children are deeply ingrained, the reality is that being childless, whether by choice or not, has nothing to do with selfishness. These labels are not only inaccurate, but they also erase the rich diversity, compassion, and resilience of women without children. And the truth is that selfishness can be found in anyone, and it is not related to parental status. It's crucial for you to begin to challenge these outdated assumptions. Start with your own self-view. Recognize any internalizing of these harmful stereotypes that you have done, because we've all done it. We've heard these messages so much that we take them in and we begin to believe them and see ourselves through that narrative, through that lens. But look at how you are doing that. Equally important is to recognize that every woman's path is unique and valid. Your worth is not determined by motherhood. Your humanity is not less because you don't have children. Remember, you matter. Your story matters. And you are not selfish. All right, that's it for today, and I will be back with you next week. Thanks for listening to Childless and Moving Onward. I hope this episode was helpful to you. If you liked what you heard, you can get more help from me with my guide, Steps to Overcome Self-Doubt and Feel Worthy When Being Childless Isn't by Choice. Click on the link in the episode notes, or you can find it on my website, pathonward.com. Until next week, thanks again for listening.